Hello, welcome everybody. SF Live episode 218. It is Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody had a great long Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada. I know I did. Took the mother-in-law over in Vancouver. We had a great, fantastic turkey last night. So still digesting that one. I hope everybody else is having a good time in the markets and really appreciate you joining us for this episode. We are joined in a few short seconds here by Craig Nichol. He's the president and CEO, or actually founder, managing director, and CEO of Graphene Manufacturing Group, a company I personally find quite interesting, and I'm trying to learn more about as they're dabbling in the graphene space. And what they have sounds like they're revolutionizing the battery metals industry a bit. And I'm trying to figure out from Greg later how they're doing it and how it looks on the corporate side, not just the technology side, but also the corporate side. Before we switch over to Greg, though, real quick, make sure to follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, hit the like and subscribe button, leave a comment, leave a like, share it with your mates. And that way more people can see it, and we do get broader reach, of course, for the benefit of everybody. Of course, if you like this video. Now, I've said enough. This was a long intro. Let me switch over to my guest, and I'm quite excited to see Greg here. Greg, thanks for joining us. I hope you're doing well, and, well, good morning at Down Under. Yeah, fantastic. Since it's your first time on SF Live, we have to start with the obligatory, 60-second quick introduction to the company. Why don't you start us off with that?
That focus on using graphene into three major uh, product markets. One is into batteries, and then also into energy-saving products. And one of those is an air conditioning coating system, which we're rolling out into markets. And the third one is a graphene lubricant for engine oil concentrate. So we're using our graphene technology that we developed ourselves, which we are the only company in the world we understand, certainly listed company, that makes from natural gas. We use that technology to make our own product, and then we put that into three of them of these products we just talked about, and we're outwardly marketing those end products right now.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, let's run through a bit of the history of the company, because you've been around quite a while. You only went public last, I think it was April. But there was, of course, a development history as well. It's like you don't just start with a brand new product. Run us a bit through the history of the company. How'd you end up in the graphene space? Because that's not your background. You're actually from the LNG space.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a group of us in this company, the founders, and there's about five of us, including myself, who are ex-Shell, and so four engineers and a finance person, ex-Deutsche Bank. And we started the business looking to take natural gas, which is 3/4 carbon atoms, and then 1/4 hydrogen. So we started the business looking to convert that into graphene and hydrogen with a tiny bit of electricity. So we developed this technology ourselves, thinking that we're well behind the rest of the world and we needed to make it happen fast. And so that was a year 2017, year 2018. And then we came out, we realized actually we developed something quite unique. And then we put it into, year 2018 was when we put it into about 200 different applications. And what was interesting was we found out how our product is, which is a black powder, which is what the carbon is just fantastic at heat transfer. And then, so we put it in to make it something strong, or we put it in to make it something very conductive, which is what graphene is often used for. And it will always turn out to be fantastic at transferring the heat. So we had 200 different applications in 20 countries and massive companies all over the world. This is why we're still private. And we worked out it's really good at heat transfer and storing ions or energy storage, which is different to conductivity. So all graphenes are different, and you've got to know what they're good for, and that's what ours is good for. So we went into that a bit further, and so 2019 we started to develop the technology in the three products areas we're talking about. And then 2020 was when we started to hit the road with our thermal XR product, which is where we spray on air conditioners to show an energy reduction. And then we then picked the battery that we wanted to work on the most. We're in a number of different battery projects, but really the one that we focus on and that we're taking forward as a manufacturer of batteries is our aluminium ion battery. I can talk about that shortly. And then the next third product, which fell out of the 200 different applications, was in lubricants as a concentrate, which we have in our days from Shell, a lot of lubricant knowledge and how that works. And it's a massive market, and it's going to be continued to grow. Despite electronic vehicles coming along, there's always going to need for lubricants. So that's how we got here. And of course, the next steps are now, after being listed earlier in the year through an RTO and a recent raise, which we raised a bit over $12 million Canadian with Cantor and a number of other syndicated investment companies. We're now really fully funded. We've got our application focus. We've got our target market interested, potential customers, and now we've got the team. So we're in a very different situation, say we were 6 months ago, and really it's just up to us. And we really do like that situation. That's what we like to do: stand up and deliver.
Yeah. I said that in other interviews before, but I'm a bit of a burnt child of the 2016, 2017, like battery metals hype and grays. Like graphene is something I've heard before, right? And graphite I heard before, lithium I heard before. So graphene, of course. And I've seen a photo in your presentation where it's like black, like the blackest black I've seen in a PowerPoint presentation. Reminded me a bit of the BMW. I think BMW had a color they used on a car that sucks up all the light. So, like, why is that? Like, exactly. Like, why is 2021 different than 2016 for me as a retail investor?
Yeah, I think what's the issue is we went through a process of proving our products, and that's the most important thing. You've got to prove it to yourself. And now for us, we've proven that these products work for us, and that's what we've done through millions of dollars of work and many years of really advanced science and engineering. And often with really big companies who are doing collaboration work with us in this space. So now for us, it's about rolling this out, and we've got to work out how well they work in different parts of the world. So for our air conditioning coating system, we have our joint venture partner or our distribution partner in the Middle East, Apenia Management Services, who is really looking at how to use our graphene coating system for air conditioning systems on existing air conditioning systems in one of the most prospective markets, the Middle East, North Africa, where there are massive air conditioning costs. I think we all understand why, and therefore massive emissions reduction potential. So it's a really big issue that we need to get across as a society. Not to worry about how to reduce emissions in cooler areas, but also worry about the emissions that come from the really hot parts of the world. And that's what we think we've got a solution there that we're going to try to implement as fast as we can with our partner in the Middle East. So that's one area which is completely different to where it was 2016, 2017. We're not trying to work out which product this goes into. We still get requests for different types of applications. I probably would have got 3 or 4 just this week already on a way to use graphene on something else that we're not focused. But we get a polite thank you, really interested, but we don't have time. Sometimes they actually don't even get that, sadly. And we're just saying, well, these are our 3 products. I've got half of the company sales and marketing team focused on implementing the TXR, the energy saving coating system for air conditioners and refrigeration systems. And I've got the other half of the company focused on delivering the battery project. So that's how you can see the priorities in the business. And there's no one, even me, who's outwardly saying, how can I use graphene on something else? We don't have that anymore. We don't need to do that. We've gone through all that, gone through all those problems. Graphene needs a market. I'm an engineer as well as a qualified marketer, and you need to have that market focus to commercialize graphene. That's absolutely what it is. In the 2011 through to 2016, it was all about, can you make graphene? That's what it was. And We can now make graphene. There's a lot of companies that make graphene, but now it's what graphene are you making that's going to meet that customer's market and at the right price and economics? And do you have the IP to do that and the team and the money? And I think that's what's different for us. We think we're there now, and now we've got to push through and get that out the door and get into some material revenue there. And we believe that's near.
Let's talk about near-term revenue in a second. Like one thing that popped up back in 2016, I did some work with graphite companies, and they always struggle to actually deliver product. So do you have enough graphene to actually deliver it to potential off-takers, or like how does that work? Run me through that process real quick. How is it being verified?
Sure. So we now don't actively sell our graphene. Really, we're not actively out trying marketing it. We're not actually trying to sell the product. We're selling our three products. That's our focus. So the TXR, the graphene lubricants, which is still going through the proof of concept and the verification with some very large opportunities, so tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 type opportunities. And then in terms of the lubricant blending market, which is about a $200 billion market a year. And then the battery space. Less on marketing on batteries, because our battery is really next generation proof that you don't need lithium, you don't need copper. Our graphene is just our battery is just graphene and aluminium, super fast charging. It's like a supercapacitor, as well as very good energy storage, and 3,000 cycles so far. So it'll last for, if it was in your phone, it would charge in less than a minute and last for 10 years. So without an issue. We don't have an issue at 10 years even. So we've proven that we're at that next generation, and cost-wise, we believe at scale, and even at the lower end of, before we get to scale, we'll have a cost that can deliver that at a good price that makes money and be sensible for the customer. So we don't really need to market that. We get a constant influx of requests for our battery for use, and it's a good problem to have, but it is still a problem. We just got to make sure that we process them in the right way. But really, the battery project is all about getting the battery, getting a pilot plant up and running. We can talk about, and then get it into a market. So it's a technical risk. Really, the graphene lubricants and the graphene coating system of ThermoXR are a market risk. We're new products to market. We've got to get them into the market. We've got to make people aware. We've got to prove the concept. We've got to get customers to commit some hard cold cash to something that they haven't probably heard of before, even maybe never hear from somebody else, because it's a complete new product that we're delivering ourselves, and pretty no one else is doing in the world. Whereas the battery is, okay, everyone's saying I'll have it, we need to deliver it. And it's good to have that mix, and it's good to have that blend of different types of profiles of revenue potential as well.
Let's talk about, before we talk revenue potential, I'm really interested in that, but let's talk about capital market structure, or cap structure real quick,
Sure.
and then we'll get back to the revenue streams. But capital structure, like how many shares outstanding do you have? You said you have $14 million in the bank as well?
Yeah, that's around there. We've got around 76 million shares outstanding. Of that, it's more than 35%, less than 40% management owned. Those shares for the management came through basically developing this from scratch, this whole technology, and some time, I can tell you, with commitment with no salary, basically developing this, and the wolves are at the door, the whole thing. You could imagine 5 guys on a boat, and the boat was on fire, and we had to find a way to make graphene from natural gas, and we thought it was basic, and the problem was it's almost impossible, but we found a way of doing it with a tiny bit of electricity. And then we came out, we went, oh, actually that's pretty awesome. But if we had knew what we knew how difficult it was, we probably would never have gone and done it, but we've done it now. And now we have that scale. We have a team of operators who manage the production, and that enables me to go into marketing and sales and investor relations. And then production is run by a chief operating officer, Sheena Ward. So that is the team that we believe can make what we need to make for the batteries, what we can do for the TXR, and also for our graphene lubricants. The thing about graphene and most types of products like this, it's a very small amount of product that's needed in these to make an amazing result. So TXR and the lubricants, it's a small percentage of the product that makes this do what it does. And that's all part of the trade secret. And we either blend it ourselves in our own blending factory, or we have it with our partner who blends it for us, and we work with them to get it right and optimized, and then we sell it on. But with the batteries, that is a bulk market. That is literally 1 kilogram of graphene around, it'll give around, a bit less than 1 kilowatt hour of capacity. That's what it is. It's a graphene battery with a bit of aluminium salts. That is a bulk application. So if you want to do a gigawatt plant, we've got to make a million kilograms of graphene.
It's quite a bit.
And yeah, it's a lot. And so that's why we've scaled, and we did this whole work on a low cost application process to make the graphene from natural gas. The biggest projects in the world are scaled with natural gas. LNG projects are all $40, $50 billion projects, which is my background and most of the team's background. And they're making liquefied natural gas. They cool it to 1/600th of its volume by shrinking it by cooling it to negative 161 degrees. And then they can ship it to another country and then load it, and they can then use that energy in another country. So that process is actually all coming through a tiny, tiny, small little tube. So all of that gas goes through a tiny tube, and it's all scaled off that tiny tube, the main cryogenic heat exchanger. And so our process, where we use plasma to make the graphene from natural gas, is actually quite simple, quite similar. And hence we see a lot of similarities. We've been in those big projects, multi-billion-dollar sales deals. So we're not there yet, but what we see is we're going to work through coin cells, which are tiny little watch batteries. There's a lot of opportunity there for our batteries, especially with their very long life and very fast charging. Lots of opportunity there. We're going to show that we can do what we said we can do. We're going to make these batteries ourselves, and then we're going to go into pouch packs, which then can go into, say, personal electronics, and then those pouch packs can also go into cars, into grid batteries, electric aviation. And then you start to scale, well, that's when you start to have to go back to the billion-dollar plants. And that's almost our comfort zone. So that's where we hope to take this. So the steps are, over the next, 5 to 10 years, that's where we aim to be as a world-class battery company. But it is all based on our graphene. And our graphene is all based on really low-cost gas and electricity. So that's where it comes to.
Okay, so you got $14 million in the bank. So just run me through your burn rate as well, because my point is, when do we start seeing first dollars being generated in terms of revenue, right?
Well, we're certainly working on that right now with our TXR. That's been kind of in the market for a year and a half, and we're doing lots of proof of concepts with different pump companies. And the opportunities there are kind of millions of dollars a year. And the opportunity to be cash flow positive is there, and that's what we're really pushing hard for. Our cash burn is somewhere between probably around $4 million. There's some, when you go through an IPO, that's $4 million a year. You do get some ups and downs with respect to your lumpiness when you do a transaction on the exchange. So we'll start to bed down the new team, and then I'll be able to come out and tell you what our real cash burn is. So we are hiring a tiny bit more, but it's not going to be much more than 4. It's, it'll be less than 5, that's for sure.
And that's a yearly or monthly burn?
That's yearly. Yeah, yearly. That's
okay.
Yearly.
R&D is expensive, so.
We're not at monthly yet, no. No. So once we're very committed to making sure the revenue comes in before we start to scale any of these big businesses opportunities. Any one of these is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity, each one of these 3. Now the batteries is a separate project. We really just need to get the tech out there, get our commercial working prototype for coin cells done by the end of the year, which is, we still think we're good for that. We got our pilot plant. Now, our pilot plant was supposed to be up by the end of September. Now it's middle of October. We're actually waiting on a final element of that, so we can go ahead and still implement by the end of October. Where it's to do with shifting to a new headquarters, and that's where we'll install it. So the pilot plant's waiting to be installed. It's actually sitting in our warehouse. We just got to put it into the new headquarters, which we will use, and we're in 3 different leases right now. So we'll come together, put the pilot plant in for making coin cells. We're already making batteries at UQ, at our pilot plant at UQ, but this will be our own pilot plant we can run day and night in our own factory next to the graphene plant. So the whole battery will be made from materials, from our own warehouse. And then G Lubricants is still working through the proof of concept with tier 1, tier 2, 3 suppliers. So that's the space. Now, once we get a coin cell prototype, give that to our customers, hopefully in the next couple of months, get that out. Customer says yes, we'll then look at where to put that automated production facility. And we'd likely have it in East Coast Australia. We'd build that sometime next year, then go into kind of production with our coin cells soon thereafter. So that's the profile, and that would have to be in millions of dollars as well, just to be able to make that project work, which is likely. Yeah.
Okay. No, so it's coming together nicely. So we just have to bide our time a bit, and it will all come together, right? So
there's a lot of work, a lot of engineers, a lot of scientists, a lot of sales and marketing guys, all working on creating the revenue, and right now very focused. We're fully aware of graphene being a wonder material, as in I wonder how I'm going to make money out of this.
Yeah.
We've gone through all that phase, and that is a real issue because you get constant requests for updates and new products, and we've worked through all that. Yeah. We're now into 3 products, highly economic, highly, we believe, proven to us, opportunistic and great for our customers. And now we've got to go through that proof of concept and deliver.
Yeah. Can I ask you as a final question, actually, that came to mind while you were talking about how to refine and get the carbon basically out of the LNG, is your carbon footprint and the ESG part of it. Because everybody's like, oh, I want batteries, I want fast recycle charge. Like how does that all fit together?
And that's what we're committed to being an ESG company. It's the whole purpose of why we even started up. We're committed to the 17 United Nations goals. And that's going to be part of our annual report, which will be coming out shortly. So it's step by step for our company. So first of all, we're looking at hiring a contractor just to start doing the baseline studies. We're aware internally of what those numbers are, what our footprint is, and what our in effect our negative impact is. Because in total we exist to reduce, not equal. Somebody has to reduce here, Kai, otherwise everyone's going to just sit and go, I'm just sitting by myself. So we are totally focused on being a negative business, to take carbon out of the equation by using carbon, which is what I think is quite funny. And that is something that we'll come out with. But first we'll come out with our existing emissions. We use solar power like pretty much everyone else to do what we do. So that's the first thing, but there'll be measures, and then we'll watch and we'll show that benefit. The small amount of our graphene and the small amount of emissions that get graphene to work is enormously negative when you put it into an air conditioner and you use 1 litre of air conditioning coating system to take tons of carbon out of a yearly consumption for 1 air conditioner. So we are enormously negative as a business, but we'll need to be third-party verified so we can then start reporting on it as well.
Fantastic. Greg, this was an extremely insightful conversation, and we got to keep catching up over time because I find it interesting, and I actually do hope the technology finally makes it, because 2016 was so disappointing on so many levels, back in the day, and I'm quite excited to see this moving forward. Just to wrap it up, give us the last next 3 months in terms of news catalysts. What can we expect from the company?
There's certainly a lot of potential news flow. We're working on a lot of things that just got to come out through and bubble to the surface. And when that happens, it's going to be to do with quite a few things, obviously. But we're really looking to push forward through into some serious revenue, significant revenue with TXR products, potentially Middle East, but that could be really anywhere in the world. Then really looking to push through our battery into a commercial working prototype and having our pilot plants up and running into our new headquarters. I think with that, that'll then enable us to start looking for revenue in the battery market and start going into automatic production plant investment mode. So huge amount of transformational milestones, which we think will happen over the next few months. And we are working very hard to make sure that that is the case.
Fantastic. Greg, thanks so much for joining us. And thanks for tuning in. Everybody else, really appreciate you watching this. It was episode 218 of SF Live. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment. What do you think about the technology they have? What do you think about their potential in the market? We want to hear about it. And make sure to share that video with your friends and mates as well. That way we do get a wider reach, and maybe your stock is performing a bit better. More people see it. We'll find out. So thanks for that. And